WandaVision is turning out to be ground zero for Phase 4, with so many revelations and now with the nexus of all realities. It's no coincidence that the Hex is the gateway to the multiverse. It has 6 sides. There were 6 Infinity Stones, 6 original Avengers, and with the Nexus comes the Nexus Beings, who are tied to the multiverse and wield immense power over it. And with each reality having its own single Nexus Being, who play a major role in the interaction between realities, we're going to check out 6 MCU characters who could be a Nexus Being. Presenting Scarlet Witch! It's rather obvious with this one, as Wanda Maximoff has become the central figure of Phase 4. When she was first introduced back in the mid-credit scene of Captain America: The Winter Soldier, we didn't know the extent of her powers, and apparently she and the rest of the world had no clue either. In the MCU, Wanda is not a mutant, but a wielder of chaos energy. And as a young girl, she came into contact with the Mind Stone, where her true powers were unleashed, and she very well may become one of the most powerful beings in the cosmos. I mean, we've already seen her almost defeat Thanos on her own, before Thanos pulled the cheat card and rained fire down on the Avengers. Kinda wondering why he didn't use that move at the beginning. It would have saved him a headache later. It's pretty apparent in WandaVision that Wanda is a Nexus Being. And if you need more proof, just look at her in the comics. Scarlet Witch is the actual Nexus Being, and WandaVision appears to be using the House of M storyline.
My favorite is House of M, but that would never happen. But
Never say never.
In House of M, Scarlet Witch suffers a mental breakdown and tries to alter the fabric of reality to recreate her lost children. Sound familiar, Tommy and Billy? Scarlet Witch's father, Magneto, can we please get Magneto in the MCU already? Plays a major role in the series. The House of M storyline replaces Earth 616 as the main reality for a brief time until Scarlet Witch reverts it back to normal. So far in WandaVision, it looks like Agatha Harkness may have been using Wanda to siphon energy from somewhere, possibly a Nexus point. If that's the case, it would make a whole lot of sense if Wanda is actually a Nexus Being, and it would explain why her kids are so powerful so soon, and why she is suddenly so much stronger than she used to be, especially if Westview is built over a Nexus itself. And speaking of Westview residents, let's talk about our next Nexus Being, Vision. In alternate realities of the Marvel Comics, Vision is also a Nexus Being, which is why the MCU could potentially remake him again. His powers and very essence is based in the Mind Stone, which gives Vision cosmic powers. And he's made of vibranium, which has alien origins, so he's literally made from otherworldly material, which still has yet to be fully explored in the Marvel Universe. And in Avengers: Age of Ultron, there is a Nexus connection to be found that introduced us to both Wanda and Vision. In Age of Ultron, Nexus is an internet hub in Oslo that Tony Stark visits when he's tracking Ultron's attempts to get nuclear codes. When Stark arrives at Nexus, he finds that Jarvis, aka Vision, has survived Ultron's attacks by scattering himself on the internet. Now, I highly doubt it was planned that Nexus was going to be some internet hub, but perhaps it was the first gateway to all realities, and Vision had scattered himself inside of this Nexus, which means Vision could potentially be in all of the MCU realities. Now, there were a few theories that Wanda stole Vision's body, but we know in Episode 8 that this wasn't true. Wanda recreated this alternate version of Vision that can't escape Westview. However, in the post-credits scene of Episode 8, we learn that S.W.O.R.D. has brought the real Vision's body back to life to be used as a possible weapon against Wanda. There is a huge potential here to merge the two Visions and bring him back to life. And if MCU characters coming back to life brings you joy, then let me introduce you to our next Nexus Being, Loki. Your favorite Asgardian is back from the dead. Well, actually, he did die, but this alternate version of Loki from the first Avengers movie is back due to the time heist. I guess we'll just have to wait and see if he obtains any of the memories from the past 10 years. Don't tell him about his mom. With the introduction of the Nexus and the Nexus Beings, this gives us a direct link to Loki and the organization known as the Time Variance Authority. Now, in the comics, the TVA is an infinitely vast bureaucracy that governs a significant number of realities in the ever-growing multiverse. The organization has dedicated itself to keeping tabs on every reality that exists and also monitors Nexus Beings, like Wanda. Now, we know Loki is in possession of the Tesseract, which makes him a huge target for the TVA. A few theories suggest that with Loki's capture, he will cut a deal with TVA for his freedom in exchange for helping them repair or close broken timelines. Now, if that's the case, working with the TVA would allow him the ability to travel to any point in time, including Westview, New Jersey, and paying a visit to Wanda. Could Loki be the big reveal at the end of WandaVision? Well, the TVA does have the power to discontinue timelines, virtually erasing them from history. So, will Loki and TVA be sent in to erase Wanda's reality, thus triggering a bigger event in Phase 4? Or will Loki destroy TVA from the inside and lead us into our next Nexus Being, Kang the Conqueror? Now, MCU's next big bad is finally confirmed with the casting of actor Jonathan Majors. According to insiders, Loki will introduce Kang the Conqueror, a time traveler who comes into contact with the TVA on more than one occasion. Kang is widely considered to be one of Marvel's most feared adversaries, but before he was Kang the Conqueror, he was born Nathaniel Richards, a descendant of Fantastic Four's Reed Richards. Now, after discovering Doom's time travel technology in the 31st century, Richard goes on his own time heist, but is defeated by the Fantastic Four. Upset, he propels himself 1,000 years ahead of his time, only to find a war-torn Earth on the brink of extinction, which may have been teased in the Loki trailer. In the future, he dons the mantle of Kang the Conqueror and devises a plan to time hop again to find a more sustainable Earth in the past. See, Loki's battle with the TVA could also tease Kang, since members of the organization may already be aware of him. Now, with these rumors circulating that Kang will show up in Loki, maybe we will get a tease of him at the end before he's fully revealed in Ant-Man 3. But with Kang possessing time travel abilities and technology from nearly every era imaginable, Kang will be Phase 4's most fearsome foe, and his status as a Nexus Being in the comics is central to his overall role and will likely follow Kang into the MCU. Now, with WandaVision linked directly to Doctor Strange, the Multiverse of Madness, it's no wonder our next possible Nexus Being is the master of the mystic arts, Doctor Strange. Now, with the possibility of the multiverse split wide open, Doctor Strange could be the one to help correct it. Doctor Strange isn't a Nexus Being in the comics, but his role in the MCU could turn him into one, depending on how Marvel Studios defines them. Once again, a Nexus Being has the ability to affect probability and thus the future, thereby altering the flow of the universal time stream. Now, Doctor Strange has, in the past, manipulated time. This includes freezing, slowing, and traveling through time. The powerful Eye of Agamotto can do some of this, but it still comes from Strange himself. Now, with the Mind Stone gone, and with a slew of new possible villains coming to MCU, like Mephisto, Enchantress, Doctor Doom, Ghost Rider, or Agatha Harkness herself, not to mention Scarlet Witch, Doctor Strange may become the guardian of the Nexus. And we may have another guardian of the Nexus becoming our last possible Nexus Being, Spider-Man. Now, your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man isn't a magic wielder, time traveler, or even very good at keeping secrets.
But it hasn't, not in the Disney Studios, has it been
fishing for a spoiler.
But he has been a very important figure for the multiverse throughout the years, most notably in the different iterations of the Spider-Verse, including Miles Morales' Spider-Gwen, and my personal favorite, Spider-Ham.
I frolic and I dance and I do this with my pants and my...
enough.
After the events in WandaVision, the MCU could make Peter Parker a Nexus Being himself, given that he's the intersection of multiple characters from alternate realities in the comics. Now, we've already gotten a few teasers in Spider-Man Far From Home about the multiverse when Mysterio made comments about it.
There are multiple realities, Peter. This is Earth, Dimension 616. I'm from Earth 833.
And we've already seen characters who have merged with the MCU. I'm looking at you, J. Jonah Jameson. In Spider-Man No Way Home, there are rumors that Tobey Maguire's and Andrew Garfield's versions of Spider-Man will appear, as well as Doc Ock and Electro, and perhaps even Matt Murdock. And in the comics, Spider-Man of Earth 772 is a Nexus Being, so there's a possibility of Spider-Man becoming a Nexus Being in the MCU. The multiverse is open for business, and now that MCU got their hands on the X-Men franchise, we could see the M'Kraan crystal being central in X-Men, as it is the nexus point to everything in existence. You know who else we could see? Man-Thing, as he was drawn to the Nexus and became the Nexus's protector and caretaker.